There is an inherent theoretical friction in trying to map the Greek framework of psychological agency onto a universe governed by Indian cosmic determinism. The two narrative engines operate on entirely different physics. In 1946, T.P. Kailasam, a giant of Kannada theater, attempted to resolve that friction, intended to force a collision between an Eastern epic and the Western benchmark of tragedy. The foundational Greek mechanism for tragedy, formalized in Aristotle's Poetics, requires a noble hero whose own specific psychological choices and errors of judgment drive their eventual ruin. The Indian epic framework of the Mahabharata relies on a different calculus. Outcomes are dictated by cosmic determinism, actions accumulating across past lives, and inescapable divine curses. The gap Kailasam had to bridge is immense. How do you graft a structure requiring individual psychological agency onto a hero who is strictly bound by an impersonal cosmic spreadsheet? By attempting to weld these models together, Kailasam engineered something entirely new. He built an accidental precursor to modern post-colonial theory, translating an ancient warrior into a perfectly realized subaltern voice. This is a baseline schematic showing the core mechanics of Indian mythological storytelling. It operates heavily on karma and shapa, impersonal, mathematical, supernatural punishment. When we place Karna into this timeline, his lifelong suffering originates immediately at birth. Born to royalty but raised by a charioteer, he's locked into the socially rejected status of a Sutaputra. The pivotal narrative hinge of his life occurs away from the battlefield during his training at his guru Parashurama's ashram. In the wasp sting episode, Karna silently endures a wasp boring into his thigh so he won't wake his guru. This superhuman tolerance proves he's not a priest, exposing his disguised warrior identity and triggering Parashurama's wrath. The guru levies a devastating curse. Karna's vast knowledge of advanced weaponry will fail him exactly when he needs it most. This curse activates regardless of future moral choices. It is a fixed cosmic debt. In this baseline Indian framework, human psychology is secondary. Destiny functions as a mechanical trap that closes tightly, ignoring the hero's present intentions. Kailasam takes this deterministic baseline and re-engineers it using Western dramatic tools. This schematic adds a transparent second layer, the Sophoclean overlay. Kailasam deploys the guru's shapa to perform the exact dramatic function of a Greek oracle in a play like Oedipus Rex. Both the curse and the oracle serve an identical structural purpose. They establish a known doom early, ensuring that every subsequent moment of hope is smothered by thick, dramatic irony. Zooming back into the wasp sting scene, we reframe the event to locate Karna's psychological flaw, splitting it into two distinct Aristotelian variables. The first is hamartia, a technical missing of the mark, where punishment is wildly disproportionate to the offense. The second variable is hubris. His pride and excessive loyalty act as fuel, compelling him to overreach against the rigid, exclusionary rules of his society. Scholars like Dr. S. Krishna Bhatta have critiqued this play formally, arguing that because it reveals the curse early and proceeds episodically, it lacks true Greek suspense. This graph illustrates the tension. It contrasts Aristotelian peripeteia, the sharp, sudden reversal of fortune, against the Indian epic inevitability of a stepped, accumulating descent of pathos. Kailasam intentionally trades the Western mechanic of surprise for the Indian aesthetic of repetition. He ends all 5 acts with a recurring refrain from different characters, poor Karna. This choice structurally mirrors a Greek chorus, acting as a communal voice mourning an unchangeable fate. Kailasam sacrifices suspense to build a uniquely Indian, accumulating emotional weight, proving his hybridized dual engine functions exactly as intended. While the Greek and Indian frameworks successfully detail the psychological and cosmic layers of the tragedy, they do not fully account for the social exclusion at the center of the text. To understand that exclusion, we look to subaltern theory. Rooted in the historiography of Marxist thinker Antonio Gramsci, it examines populations excluded from political representation. Scholar Gayatri Chakravorty Spivak later evolved this theory, focusing on the dilemma of representation and systemic silencing. Returning to our flowchart, we can visualize Spivak's core argument. The subaltern can speak, but the dominant frameworks of society are built specifically not to hear them. Through this lens, Karna's Greek hubris requires recontextualization. His pride is a marginalized person's rational defiance against caste exclusion. He repeatedly declares that intrinsic worth must outweigh accidental birth, proving he possesses a highly articulate sense of his own agency. During Draupadi's disrobing, Karna flashes agency, standing against his allies and shouting, "Desist!" Yet his command alters nothing. Recognized only as a charioteer's son, his intervention is treated as social overreach. His speech is physically present, but structurally nullified. Karna's tragedy is structural. He is a subaltern who speaks powerfully, but whose speech is systematically voided by the dominant system. Ultimately, the curse or karna is a complex narrative machine that operates simultaneously across three distinct theoretical frameworks. At the epic level, a curse activates mathematically, fulfilling an unbending cosmic design. At the human level, his extreme loyalty and singular lie act as Aristotelian hamartia, ensuring his downfall is psychologically earned. At the societal level, the caste hierarchy structurally suppresses his agency, fully realizing the subaltern dilemma. Kailasam refused to let divine machinery do all the narrative work. The result is a cross-cultural tragic hero, positioned exactly at the intersection of Athens, Hastinapura, and modern critical theory. The chorus's recurring cry at the end of every act operates as a lament for a doomed mythological warrior and the unmistakable echo of a social system explicitly designed not to listen.